Board of Trustees regular meeting for Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023 will come to order. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Stewart. Here. Trustee Monahan.
Here.
Trustee Kermey.
Here.
Trustee Buckley.
Here.
Clerk Borba here. Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Here.
Supervisor Heisler.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance tonight. How about Fire Chief Conley?
This gets picked.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right, let's go on to, do we have anybody here from Senator Bayer's office? Okay, we're going to move on to the recognition of Plymouth Township Detective Tom Champagne for the HSI Michigan Task Force Officer of the Year Award. We have Chief Nightel. He's going to come forward and make the presentation along with a representative from Homeland Security.
Is the mic on?
It's red.
Ours off, but his on.
Can you hear me? Too tall, too tall. Is red on or off? Okay. Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, here we go. We'll talk loud. Very good. After the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, in law enforcement, we learned a lot of lessons, unfortunately, that day. And one of the lessons we learned is we have to work very closely, state, local, and federal partners. So part of that is we are involved with task force. We have task force officers with the Drug Enforcement Administration. We have a task force officer here in Plymouth Township, Homeland Security Investigation. So very proud that our task force officer received special recognition by the Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent in Charge, Angie Salazar. And to represent her today is Assistant Special Agent in Charge, Matt Stentz.
Good evening. It's truly a privilege to come before you tonight to talk about the award that Detective Champagne won. HSI, we cover all of Michigan and Ohio, and we currently have over about 150 task force officers from federal, state, county, local, and even Canadian law enforcement that actually work side by side with HSI special agents on a daily basis. We subscribe to the theory and the practice of work local, think global, and nothing personifies that more than task force officers. Task force officers are the glue that basically bind HSI to the communities and help us fulfill that mandate of working local, thinking global. So every year we recognize the best task force officers we have, and without question, it was a unanimous vote that Tom was selected as the top task force officer in the state of Michigan. Tom is a consummate leader. Tom is a professional, and he represents the community. He not only supports us in our active investigations, but part of what I want to do is to continue to give back to the communities that we serve. And Tom does an exceptional job doing that on a daily basis and on a regular basis doing outreach to the senior community to talk about financial fraud and the scams that are out there that are impacting our communities. So my ask and continue to ask of Detective Champagne is what can HSI do to continue to give back? And this award is just a small token of our appreciation for the hard work that Detective Champagne continues to provide to HSI on a daily basis. So with that, I'd like to present Detective Champagne with the Task Force Officer of the Year Award for the state of Michigan.
We got to know, what is this? It looks like a piston, right?
Piston.
So
Yes, absolutely.
please tell us the rationale behind
Pass this
this.
around here.
So the rationale behind the piston is that we all know, growing up and living in the great state of Michigan, home of the big three, is that the piston is the integral part of the engine. And without the piston, the engine can't function. And the piston is just a small yet crucial part of the larger engine that drives HSI.
Excellent.
And its partnerships with you all on a regular basis. So it was very symbolic, and it was very deliberate, the choice of the piston for the award.
Excellent.
So.
All right. Detective Champagne, do you want to say any words, or?
Well, thank you very much. It's a true honor and a privilege to serve the Plymouth Township community. I'm happy to do so, and very fortunate again to be in this position. And really thank you for your support. And I'm going to continue to work hard for the citizens of this community every single day. And again, led by the great Chief Jim Nightel here, he does a phenomenal job, as you know. And without his support, it would be difficult. So again, thank you very much, and thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right, anybody else here from Senator Baer's office? Okay, we're gonna move on then. Whoop, be careful with that thing. You're gonna hit the speaker. Okay, so tonight for approval of the agenda, I'd like to move items F1 and F2 ahead of public comment, if you don't mind, so we can get those individuals back to their homes and families. That would be my only change on the approval of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the agenda Tuesday, August 22nd, 2023, as amended, moving the two items above public comment.
Okay, motion is made by Clerk Forbes. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Monahan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the consent agenda. Comments, questions?
If we have questions on those, you want to wait till later or do it?
No,
now?
let's do those now.
All right, I have a couple of questions or comments. Do you want to do them now?
Yes.
Okay. The police report has a new executive summary. It's great. That's moving in the right. I loved it. At least it draws out some highlights. I'm hoping that other department heads will do the same thing. They can copy that idea because it is enlightening. The other question is the transit van purchase. I'm glad that they're using that form. It eliminates questions. It's perfect. It answers all the questions. I do have one question. What are we doing with the existing one when we get the new one?
Director Felrath will be at this meeting later tonight. Right now, he's up in his office, but I suspect that vehicle will be sold.
Okay.
It'll be put up for auction like all other used vehicles.
All right. It only has 115,000 miles, but I think it'll be another year before we get this other one.
Possibly they might get, some of the DPW vehicles that are surplus are sometimes given to parks as well, but I don't know if that's the part of the plan. You might just make a note of that, and when Patrick comes down, we'll ask him.
All right. That's it.
Okay.
Mr. Supervisor.
Yes, hold on, Bob.
Yeah, I noticed a spelling mistake in the minutes. Two of the names were wrong. They were spelled wrong, but I can't find them right now.
So just let us know what they are. We'll correct them.
Okay.
Okay, then, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Supervisor.
Mr. Clerk.
I move for the approval of the consent agenda for Tuesday, August 22, 2023.
Motion's made by Clerk Forbes. Is there a second? Second by Trustee Monahan. You do need to take the roll on this.
Okay. Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Clerk Forbes, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, terrific. Next up is item F1. This is the presentation and resolution to approve the Western Township's Utilities
Public
Authority.
comment.
No, we're
Okay.
doing this before public comment.
Okay,
That was
okay.
the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So Suzanne Balin is here. She's the finance director for WTUA, which is the Western Township's Utilities Authority, which is the sewer system, which we jointly own and operate, along with Canton Township and Northfield Township. Suzanne, you're on.
Overall, it's an increase of 5.5%. The large majority of our budget is our sewage treatment costs. Our rate with Ypsilanti Communities Utilities Authority has been bumped up. They discovered an internal issue where they had been overstating flows for Ypsilanti Township, which had been understating our portion of their cost. It has since been resolved. I actually expected a larger increase than what it panned out to, but overall it's 5.5%.
Okay, and this budget has been already tentatively approved by the WTUA Board of Directors at
Yes,
their
it's
last
been
meeting.
reviewed by our finance committee, and now it's going to each of the townships, and then it will come back to our board for final approval.
Okay. And then, any other questions then for Suzanne at this point?
Yes. How much capacity do we currently have remaining at Ypsilanti sewage treatment plant?
Just under 30 million gallons per day.
Is unused? That's what I'm talking about. What is unused?
I mean, we're not always using our full
No, but,
capacity
okay, we
with them,
bought
but
X amount, so what percent of that are we using? If you don't know, you can just, get back
it's
with us.
not, I would have to look into it and get back to you. It's not something that's fixated. So sometimes we're using more of the capacity than at other times. In wetter
No,
weather,
but we
we're
have a
using more.
commitment to, if we go over a certain amount, we sold bonds to buy a certain amount. And I'm trying to understand where
Correct.
we are in relation to that.
I could send you a report on it. We're nowhere near exceeding our capacity in their system.
Okay,
And we have sold our capacity in the Wayne County system, so we send all of our flow to Ypsilanti.
all right. And what about the pipe size going to,
It's a
Ypsilanti?
force main, I couldn't tell you how big it is, but Aaron would be able to answer your
Yeah,
questions.
I would just put that in an
All right.
email to Aaron.
Yeah, all right.
It's about this big.
There's two of them.
Okay, any other questions for Suzanne? All right, Mr. Clerk.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve Resolution 2023-08-22-68, adopting the 2023-24 WTUA budget per the recommendations of the WTUA Finance Director.
Okay, motion's made by Clerk Vorba, seconded by Treasurer Dorshevitz. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorshevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Suzanne, thank you very
Thank
much. You do a great job for us at Watua. It's a dirty job, right? But it's done right, and you do a terrific job for us, so I just want to thank you once again.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Okay, this is still a very hot mic, so I'm not sure what needs to be adjusted, but I feel like I'm reverberating all over the place.
Turn down the Heisey.
Turn down the Heisey, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
turn down the Heisey mic.
It sounds like,
They're controlling it in there.
Huh?
We have the award here.
okay, that's better.
Somebody stole the award, Tom.
Oh, no. Okay. So next up is item F2. This is the initial appointments to the Township Veterans Commission. The Veterans Commission concept, an ordinance was adopted back in the spring and over the summer. We've been taking resumes and letters of interest. We got, I don't know the exact number, I want to say it was about 15. So we had quite a few people who were very interested, and I want to thank everybody who did submit their name and resume. We still keep them on file in case vacancies may develop in the future. Before you tonight is the proposed motion and resolution that would, if you could just scroll down there, Bob. It lists the names of the proposed individuals and their terms of office. So because this is a 9-member board and we have to have staggered terms, some of them are for 3, some are for 2, and some are for 1. It's just the way it shakes out. Trustee Buckley is going to be the acting chair of the commission, and then you all can work that out who will be running things from there. But this was Trustee Buckley's idea back around the beginning of the year, and it's certainly something that she's passionate about, given her family's extensive involvement in Veterans Affairs and their sacrifice. So what I'd like to do at this point is I'm going to go through the names. I understand John Roberts. I thought he was on the Supreme Court. I thought that was quite a catch, that we could get him on this board, but he's not here tonight. So Chief, just let us know, I know he's a friend of the chief, so if we could let him know if everything turns out well here tonight. Krista McKinley, just stand up and just tell us, not even an elevator pitch, give us a 15-second summary of your military background, your service background, and anything else that would be relevant.
Graduated from the Naval Academy in 1992, spent 21 years in the United States Marine Corps, retired as Lieutenant Colonel, and 14 years in Iraq.
All right.
Hurrah. Simplify.
Okay, Ron King.
I spent 22 years retired as a major. And, oh, thank you. And I look very forward to contributing greatly to this committee, so I can, commission, so I can help further veterans' causes.
Okay.
And thank you.
Jacqueline, if you could just help me with your last name again? Lashotis. Yep. Okay.
Oh, I think I'm going to do without that. That's okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Shotis. I am a 2008 graduate of the United States Naval Academy. I was served aboard the USS Kearsarge and Commanding Forces Surface Atlantic. I'm a resident of Plymouth for about 5 years now, and my husband is a firefighter in Westland, and I'm very honored to be here and serve all of you. So,
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you. We are hiring firefighters too, by the way, so the chief will be tapping you on the shoulder here shortly, I think. Okay, Kirkland Cohn. Kurt?
Kurt Cohn. I graduated from Plymouth High School in 1967 and during the Vietnam War. Went into the Air Force, spent a little less than 4 years with them, flew 78 combat missions into North and South Vietnam, and I am a business owner in Plymouth Township today.
Wow, okay.
Thank you.
I know Mike Richardson is in the back there.
Okay. Mike Richardson, I'm a resident of the Township of Plymouth since 1976. In 1959, I enlisted in the United States Navy, served 22 and a half years. Served 22 and a half years and retired in 1981. I'm a member of the VFW locally here, as well as Vietnam Veterans, and I'm presently employed by the Township of Plymouth.
And Mike worked for the Plymouth City Police Department when I was there, and also with the Plymouth Township Police Department as a dispatcher and manager of the dispatchers. Did a great job.
Okay. Jennifer Buckley, I think we all know her. John Lockwood.
My name is John Lockwood. I was in the U.S. Army 1954 to 1963, 9 years, and I'm currently the commander of the local American Legion post in Plymouth.
Okay. And then last but not least is David Tanana.
Name's David Tanana. I served in the United States Marine Corps from 96 to 2005. I have 2 tours in Enduring Freedom in the Republic of Georgia and Cuba, and a tour in Iraq. I currently work for the Department of Veterans Affairs in the Pension and Fiduciary Program.
Wow.
I look forward to working with all of you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. It sounds like we've got a very impressive crew, and again, I want to thank you all.
Did you get John? Oh,
No,
yeah.
no, he's not here. So I just want to thank you all for your interest and for your anticipated service in the future, but also more importantly for your service to our country in the past. And that's really what matters most. And that's one of the reasons why we want to have a Veterans Commission, so we can do more for you and provide you with the advice and insight and assistance that you need. So any other questions or comments?
Yes, please.
Yes, John.
I have a comment. Go ahead.
Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
I don't want to call somebody out, but I'm voting no on this because I have an issue with one of the nominees that I have explained to Trustee Buckley, who did not respond.
Oh, no, it was aimed at me, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
That was just a comment.
Okay, John.
Okay, my comment
All
is,
right.
I've been looking at nominees for, I was a trustee for 4 years, from 88 to 92, and then the past 3 years. This is an all-star cast. I know many of you on this board, from Lockwood to King to, I'm going to stop right there. You are involved in other parts of the community, and I'm deeply grateful for that. Krista McKinley just finished a 62-mile walk with the Boy Scouts at Philmont, New Mexico. We have a mother of a one-year-old with a master's degree in Italian studies, and she's thrilled to be on a township board. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful, and I thank you for the opportunity to be positive, to say positive things in our Board of Trustees meetings. And I read through each and every one of the bios, and I didn't know what this commission was going to do, but this is just a fantastic group of people. And I look for your continued involvement in other aspects of our community. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'd like to say
Yeah,
something.
go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank everyone who came out to join this illustrious board. I most importantly want to thank Ms. Buckley, because without her vision, the veterans, again, would not have somewhat of a voice here to be heard. A lot of you I've known through my husband, Steve Monahan. Krista, our children have lots of your blankets at our home. So this is a special treat for me to see this actually happening tonight. And I want to thank Ms. Buckley and everyone who came out to be able to serve us in this capacity. Thank you.
Okay. Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion. Jennifer? Trustee Buckley?
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, I move to approve Resolution 2023-08-22-69, appointing the initial 9 members of the Plymouth Township Veterans Commission for the terms specified therein.
Okay, motion's made by Trustee Buckley, seconded by Trustee Monahan. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Clerk Porva, yes. Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Congratulations once again. You can go home if you wish,
Do you mind if we got a quick picture?
or you could stay. Sure.
2
but
seconds.
2 seconds.
All right, cool. All right, can we get the veterans?
Just go out there in the hallway, but I'm gonna get moving on public comment.
2 seconds.
You can go out there for the photos, but I'm gonna move on to public comment too. Okay. All right, public comment, limited to 3 minutes. Come on up. You just gotta come up here, go up to the microphone. Right, we have a sign-in sheet, and everybody gets 3 minutes. I have a timer here.
So we turn these off now?
Hi, good evening. My name is Monica Batts. I am opposed to the race jock proposal for the purpose of it proposes and supports gambling. I would like to draw your attention to a 2006 study published in the Review of Economic and Statistics titled Casinos, Crime, and Community Costs. The authors were Greenos and Mustard, and this very extensive, scientifically conducted study goes into detail about the negative impacts, of casinos and gambling. The research details that any short-term employment gains are very quickly evaporated with the advent of a casino. In addition, the negative impacts continue to escalate from year 1 through year 5. There is no positive community benefit, either economic or social, from gambling. Thank you.
Tell us where to find that? Or email it to us?
I will email it.
All right.
I'll email the URL.
Okay, thank you. Next.
Hello. Good evening, board members. I'm Howard Hamrick, an active, involved community member, 50-year resident of Plymouth Township, commercial property owner, business owner also. Over the years, I've met and engaged with all of the board members except Ms. Buckley. This could jar memories for some. Due to my schedule, I have either in person or via video followed the Northville Downs Plymouth project from its start at the Planning Commission. I have a private practice I'm a director of clinical internships at the University of Michigan School of Dentistry and director of the Victors for Veterans program. I'm glad to see the township stepped up. We've been treating veterans under 200% of poverty homeless for the last 12 years in 30 counties. So we're busy, and we continue to be busy. I cannot give you my 7-page CV in 3 minutes. I'm sure you can Google me and find out more if you'd like. I would like to return to the start of this project's history. I'd like to mention a quick definition in law of a prudent person. A prudent person is someone who acts sensibly and takes proper precautions to protect themselves and others. They use their knowledge and judgment to make good decisions. My question is, why would owners with an 80-year-old business history in Michigan with competent legal counsel buy a piece of property from a developer that precludes the intended use based on the zoning at the time? Racetrack was not included. Then plan to spend $25 million plus or minus to build on it. Is this a prudent decision by a prudent person? I suggest a prudent buyer would make this contingency purchase based on zoning variance, the planned unit development, as you prefer to call it, and that would be a contingency purchase. I would like, in the spirit of transparency and truthfulness, 3 simple questions answered by the board and the commissions. 1, were any township individuals elected, contracted, employed, or representing the township in any way, in any discussions with the purchaser prior to or during the purchasing process? 2, was any advice, consultation, or any form of help outside of normal application processing given? And 3, is the land on a contingency sale? We have a board, and our board had a mission statement: helping members succeed. My question to you is, how does this help Plymouth Township succeed? We are anticipating your responses to these 3 questions prior to the vote on that agenda item. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, Mary Ann Adams, longtime Ridgewood Hills resident. Kurt, I'm addressing the brownfield property again. I know you don't want to answer any questions about it, but I'm addressing it again for 2 primary reasons. 1, the safety of any and all people and animals that use this property, and 2, financial liabilities associated with the development of the property for which promises are being made that this will not cost township taxpayers anything. Let me reiterate, this is a gambling facility with little live horse racing. In fact, it is public knowledge that in 2022, 96% of all wages being placed at Northfield Downs were placed on simulcast races. Second, actual breakage fees in 2022 were only $180,000. Far less than the $250,000 being claimed for Plymouth Township. State Bill 411, currently in committee, will allow Northfield Downs to create a temporary gambling facility to conduct simulcast betting prior to a track being ready. This bill also wants anything associated with state negotiations in this industry to be exempt from FOIA. I wish Senator Baer was here because we cannot let this bill go through. And there still remain significant questions about the contamination of this property. Jim Harless, upon retiring from SME, the company involved in the testing of these properties, is on record as taking minutes for the MITC Brownfield Authority. Therefore, I do not believe he is an unbiased consultant to assess the status of any brownfield properties. The Board of Trustees should require that Harless be replaced with an unbiased consultant, one that is not selected by Supervisor Heisey. So contaminated or not, there can be no question about the status of this property since it will be a public venue. Therefore, it must be tested. Last, I'm questioning the cost. associated with the development of the brownfield properties since they were developed several years ago. I am assuming that the board knows that the state does not allow any brownfield funding for gambling facilities. In this agreement, it needs to be clearly stated that the Plymouth Township taxpayers will not bear any costs current or in the future for development or repairs associated with any of the brownfield properties or required infrastructure. Bob, as Township Treasurer and designated contact with the State Department of Eagle, I will schedule time with you to go through all correspondence with Eagle, as well as run through the related costs and how they are going to be paid and reimbursed. And if they are not brought forth, I will submit a FOIA. It is this board's fiduciary responsibility to safeguard the residents of this community, not only from being exposed to potentially harmful contaminants, but also from potentially harmful financial obligations that will put this township in a bad position, similar to Huron Township with the Pinnacle Racetrack. Finally, Wayne County property records do not show who is the owner of this property. Since purchase was supposedly made back in October 2022, there should be a record, as this is publicly available information. Bob, I'll want you to have proof when I meet with you of ownership of this property. Board, you have a responsibility to clearly understand all the risks associated with this development and any other developments in the township. Make sure you know what you are voting in favor of prior to making that vote. Ignorance will not be an acceptable excuse for your favorable vote if harm comes to this community and its residents.
Okay, thank you. I have a question.
The House bill?
That's what I want to know. What is we're interested in knowing, Chuck and I just want to know, what's this House bill that you're referring to?
House State Bill 411.
Oh, it's in the Senate.
There are four bills going through the Agriculture Committee related to horse racing.
Okay, I need the bill numbers again.
SB 411.
Slow down.
SB 411.
State Bill 411, and I will get you
Stands-
the rest of them.
Stands for Senate bill.
Or Senate Bill, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. So Senate Bill 411, do you have a sponsor's name on it? Is there a senator?
Cherry, is it,
There's Hertel, Senator Cherry, and
Hertel, Terry.
Cherry?
Sherry.
Flowers?
those bills were introduced at the end of June, and they're sitting in the Senate Committee on Natural Resources.
Okay. I thought their Senator Cherry was it Cherry, did you say?
Cherry.
Okay. Oh, okay, I think I know. Okay, gotcha.
So I heard my name a couple times, but I'm not sure what you were asking of me.
I'm just going to set up time with you to go through the documents that have been submitted to Eagle and to understand the financial obligations and how this
Brownfield?
facility.
The Brownfield document?
The Brownfield documents, yes.
Sure. Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Oops, hold on.
Okay. My name is Joyce Janicki. There's no mic up here. Is there a new thing here? Speak loud. Okay, I can do that. I just wanted to, I brought a prepared speech tonight, but I'm going to save it for another night. I just wanted to talk a little bit further about those four bills that have been introduced in the Senate. As you may or may not know, the horse racing bill of 1995 states that the state has the policy of supporting the horse racing industry. They have asked for appropriation to for getting that for getting the sections of that bill in place. These Senate bills
it looks like the legislature is getting into the business of Northville Downs. They specifically are talking about, as the previous speaker mentioned, giving Northville Downs, they can simulcast without a track. They are removing caps from the funding that Northville Downs would normally get. Right now, it's capped at about 3 million from one fund, but they are uncapping the amount. And this is only what I surmise, that Northville Downs needs the money to stay in business. It looks like the casinos are going to stop the historical horse racing machines, so money's got to come in somewhere. And what really is disturbing, and I believe the previous speaker mentioned this, is that the bill has also included language which will keep all racetrack licensees, either reviewing or investigating if you have a current license or you don't have a license yet, to keep it confidential. Everything. They go into detail about all the paperwork that would be included. You wouldn't be able to even seek that information through a FOIA request. That is written in Bill 411. So it's just very disturbing that the legislature has their hand in this, and it would be behoove township residents to know that these bills are out there. Again,
Okay.
Senate Bill 411,
Yep.
412,
Okay.
413.
Are you saying that historical horse racing is currently allowed in the Detroit casinos?
What?
Is historical horse racing,
No.
it's not allowed in the Detroit casinos? All right, nowhere. All right.
Okay, thank you very much. I am actually looking up. Okay, anybody else?
Yes. My name's Dale Bernhardt, been here 42 years. Obviously, I'm in opposition to the track. And one of the issues that we've had has been about traffic. And we've gone over it a lot, and it seemed like the board has been saying that, you know what, we're gonna get money from the state, we're gonna have $10 million, and we're gonna expand 5 Mile Road into 3-lane, as if that is gonna solve the congestion. When in fact, there are many studies that have shown it does just the opposite. I have one here that I just want to read to you real quick. You can Google things. I've talked to traffic experts. It's a fact. What's up with that? Building bigger roads actually makes traffic worse. The concept is called induced demand, which is economists speak for when increasing the supply of something, like roads, makes people want this thing even more. Though some traffic engineers made note of this phenomenon at least as early as the 1960s, it is only in recent years that social scientists have collected enough data to show how this happens pretty much every time we build new roads. So don't think just because you're going to put 3-lane highway in on 5 Mile that it's going to take care of your congestion, because it will not. It's kind of like the movie The Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, and that's what exactly is going to happen to these roads. The other thing is parimutuel betting. I don't know what you have in your contract, but is your thought that the parimutuel is strictly for horse? Because parimutuel is not just for horse racing. There are many different sports that fall within that. It's a whole different category of bettors. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. I would ask you if you are working on a contract to make it strictly for horse. There's a whole lot of other sports that are involved in parimutuel.
Okay. Just for your edification, I just found Senate Bill 411, and I just forwarded a PDF to all the board members and to Kevin Bennett.
Thanks.
One question I have for you, how long have you been collecting the petitions, the Stop the Racetrack petitions?
Why would you ask me that?
Well, answer the question, I guess.
Well, I
how long
don't, I
have you
guess I don't
collected-
know why
Okay.
that's important.
Well,
For a while,
I just want to know.
ever since, I guess, that we've been involved with
It's
this.
on all your flyers, and it's on it's now on the signs, the lawn signs. I just haven't seen any petitions yet. Chuck, have you seen the petitions that have been signed by residents? No, I haven't. Has anybody else here seen them? I haven't. I just want to know where the petitions are. I think when people sign a petition, they expect that it's going to be presented at some point to the governing body, because you have a First Amendment right to do that. And I think when people sign petitions, they expect that at some point they're taking a stand, they're signing that in good faith, and they expect that that's going to be presented to the government. And so I just want to know, at what point are we going to see the petitions?
Okay, why don't we do an exchange? Since we have about 20 Freedom of Information Act requests, then we will give you that information at the same time when we get our information.
Okay, so it's a quid pro quo. Okay, interesting. I don't know if the people who signed the petitions, I don't think they understood that there was going to be a quid pro quo for that. I think they signed it. I think they signed it in good faith. So. No shouts from the audience, please. Okay, I'm just curious.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Denise. Hi.
Am I supposed to hit this, or is it on? It's on, okay. My name is Marilyn Bertera. I live in Salem Township. I'm just 2 miles west of the proposed racetrack development, lifelong horse owner, and I'm in support of the racetrack. And I know I've been at every meeting. I'm always in the minority speaking, but I believe that when there's a contentious issue like this, the opposition probably will always be more vocal than the supporters or people who are just indifferent. So I continue to comment. I've been at all the meetings. I didn't come to the July 25th board meeting because Northville Downs wasn't on the agenda, but then I learned after that the Stop the Racetrack group all commented. So I watched the video. One of the final speakers testified that one of the threats of the racetrack is human trafficking. And my first thought was, this guy's delusional. But then I thought, no, these people that are opposing, they don't know what happens at the racetrack. They need to go to the racetrack some night. They'll see families with kids on the apron watching the horses, people in the clubhouse enjoying dinner, overlooking the races. Northville Downs is an entertainment venue, just like USA Hockey Arena in the township. Mr. Stewart, last night at the Concerned Citizens meeting.
Hey, come on, everybody. Let's all be fair here.
At the Concerned Citizens meeting, you stated horse racing is boring and slow. You're entitled to your personal opinion, but some people find horse racing exciting and they enjoy it. Please don't make a blanket statement like that. I personally find the symphony boring. I know a lot of people enjoy it, but to each their own. Everybody's different. I'd like to address some of the major concerns that I've heard from the opposition. Property values. The current track in Northville has certainly not decreased property values there. The St. Lawrence Estates condo development was built on former stabling area, and it's kitty corner from the track. When that development was built, they sold out as fast as they could build them. So it certainly hasn't hurt property values in Northville. Gambling, anyone can gamble nowadays on a cell phone or computer, so it's not a valid argument that they're against gambling in the township. Animal cruelty, racehorses are athletes just like human athletes. We don't force them to race. That is what they're bred for and they enjoy doing. At the first Planning Commission meeting, our Michigan Harness Horseman Association President, Tom Barrett, invited anyone to come to the farm, which he manages at Curtis and North Territorial Perfecta Farm, to see how we care for our horses. Nobody's ever came to see it. But horses are our livelihood and many times like part of our family. That's why they're well cared for. The breakdown statistics that people like to cite in their testimony is for thoroughbred racing, not standardbred racing. Harness racing has a 4% of thoroughbred breakdowns.
You got to wrap it up.
Okay. Alcohol, the track is open from 11 to midnight. Most bars and restaurants are open from 11 to midnight, same thing. So I don't think there's any more risk of impaired drivers coming out of the track than there would be from any bar or restaurant in the township.
All right.
Got
to wrap it up.
Okay. For those whose objections involve zoning issues or communication problems, that's your business, but please don't use the issues that I was just addressed as arguments for the opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
So may I just drop in out there on North Territorial? I've driven by it for 50 years. I can drop in, or I need to call Barrett?
No, you can drop it. Well, we're there in the morning. Like, I'm there every morning till about 11
It's
a.m.
about the time I get out of bed. All right. I'll set my
If you
alarm
want
to
my
get early.
phone number, I'll give it to you and you can stop by.
I see you in the morning when I pass by.
Yeah. If you want my phone number, I'll give it to you. Call and you can come by.
I can stop by then.
You're
All right.
up early, I know.
Okay. All righty, sounds good. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Ann Van Wagener. I've been a resident of Plymouth Township for 20 years. And I know that apparently we don't have the petition put together yet, but my understanding is we only found out about this racetrack, Mr. Heisey, most of us on the news on February 15th of this year, 6 months ago, including, I believe, some members of the Board of Trustees here. So there isn't much time to really get it all together, and it's been slow in getting the information. So I'm concerned that the Carlo brothers may have provided campaign funding for some members of the board. And I think that there needs to be transparency, because if there has been any campaign finance funding, then there are expectations. Harness racing, from what I can see, is a dying industry. I believe that the commissioner, I forget his name, William, whatever, has come out and quoted Bill Ballinger that harness racing is really a dying industry himself. And what happens if the racetrack fails as a harness racing track? What then? What's plan two? What happens next? It's a designated gambling facility. Does it become a casino? Does it have slot machines? And finally, I just feel that a gambling facility in Plymouth Township is not right for our culture, morals, or township values. Thank you.
Yes, my name's Kurt Horvath. I've been a resident of Plymouth Township for 17 years. As you can tell from my sticker, I'm absolutely opposed to this. I see absolutely no benefit to the people of Plymouth Township for having this facility. A couple of speakers ago said...
Sir, we just asked that you address the board, okay?
Okay. A couple of speakers ago addressed gambling and said that this is going to increase gambling because gambling's so available. That's a great reason not to do this, because you can sit at your telephone, you can sit at your computer and gamble 24 hours a day. You don't need another facility to gamble. Okay, number one. And number two, if this is such a great idea for the people of Plymouth Township and the surrounding area, put it to a vote. Put it on the ballot and let us vote on it. I realize the commission has the authority to do this, but if you want to be responsible to the people of this township, you need to allow them to make a decision like this. This is a huge decision, and it's going to irritate a lot of people in this township. If you happen to be elected onto this commission, I think you probably won't in the future. But that's personally my opinion, and I will summarize this to say, Mr. Heisey, I voted for you, but I will not be voting for you again.
Okay. Okay, who's next?
My name is Stacy Romine, Plymouth Township resident. I never planned to come up and talk, but after comments, it spurs me on to a couple of thoughts. Traffic has come up as an issue with the last two major township development proposals, with the racetrack and with the Meyer store. And as I've sat and listened to this discussions and proposals for those, each of those comes up independently. As we've looked at a traffic study for Meyer, we've looked at a traffic study for the racetrack. My understanding through these meetings as well is that Northville Lumber is moving into the area, and there's also a charter school moving into the area, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Ivywood?
I mean, not in the 5 Mile Ridge area.
It's much farther south.
It's further south, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good to know, thank you. I misunderstood that one. My question is that as these come up, these proposals come up, it seems as though they're evaluated independently. And as you look to bring additional businesses and ventures into the area, how are these considered together? So you have Meyer, who came in, and I think they said 3,200 visits a day for customers for that property. The racetrack, I don't remember what the number was that's being proposed. Northville Lumber, what's the number there? So as we evaluate the traffic, are those studies looked at in consideration together at all to add these together? Or is one allowed to stand alone and then the other stands alone, and then before you know it, you get an additive effect that's unexpected?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, seeing, oh, Mr. Pine.
Hi, guys. I'm Bill Pine. I'm a 45-year resident of Plymouth Township. I'm usually the analytical guy. I'll talk about this or that. I'm concerned about things like regulatory compliance, government stewardship. But today I'm just going to talk about living here. A whole parade of people have talked to you over the last 6 months about living here. You know, all ages, all backgrounds, a lot of different perspectives. And you've gotten a pretty consistent message. Most of us don't come from here. Most of us came here because this is an idyllic place to live. We wanted to live here. When I got out of the Navy, and by the way, thank you to Naval Academy grads, so good work. The reason we came here was it was an idyllic community. Now, I know some of you guys are strongly in support of the racetrack, and I mean, that's your right. But the system's supposed to be such that folks have their government reflect what they want to do. The numbers right now is that, I know you're trying to figure out how many people are against doing this. I've done anecdotal work that I've talked to a couple of people. First of all, when this started off, 90% of the population didn't know about this. They didn't know about it until February. And I went around because a couple of you have said that the racetrack is good, and you might be right. So I went and talked to a lot of people. A number of other people in the community did as well. In addition to finding out first that 90% didn't know, once they did know, about 80% of them were against it, many strongly. The issue is that the reason they're against it is that, for the most part, they like their idyllic community. If the racetrack goes forward, they're going to blame somebody, and the candidates for being blamed are you guys. Now, Plymouth Township, it's a privilege and a pleasure to live in Plymouth Township. There's a reason most of us came here. Some of you guys on the board get that, and the folks in the community really appreciate that. I'm not sure if some of the other folks on the board get that or may not care. I mean, that's their right, like I say. But it would be terrible for Plymouth Township to end up like any number of other Southeast Michigan communities that used to be good places to live. So Please don't screw up Plymouth Township.
My name is Leon Swan. I've lived in the township for 25 years. If this racetrack is such a good deal, why is Northville sending them packing to us? If it was a great deal, they would have kept it. They've got plenty of room on the north side of 5 Mile, west of Beck, west of Ridge, to have put that racetrack on their side of 5 Mile. Obviously, it's not such a good deal, or they would have kept it for themselves. They wouldn't pass something on if it's a super deal for them. So please, remember, it was all the people of Plymouth Township that elected you, not the Carlo brothers. Thank you.
Alrighty then, I'm going to move on to item F3. This is the emergency management resolution with Wayne County and township support. Well, we do also have an opportunity at the end of the meeting too, so, but we can go now.
I'd like to speak now. My name is Tricia Kvasnak. I've been
What was the last name?
Kvasnak. I've been a property owner here in the township for about 17 years. And I can honestly say, as most people, still even in the township today, don't even know about what you folks are up to. I think we need some transparency, and I think a lot of people that have spoken have talked about clear transparency. And I've heard a lot of people ask questions as to what the benefits are to Plymouth Township. I've heard from none of you at these meetings what the benefits are. It's time to get some transparency here. You need to put this on the ballot. You need to represent the people that voted for you. Again, I have not heard from any of you about what the benefits are to the township. I'm going to ask one question right now, loud and clear, and I hope it gets televised tonight somehow. What is the benefit to the board members? We know there is all kinds of things going on here.
There's
All
nothing
right?
that we're personally benefiting from as a board member. It's not how it works.
Okay.
Right, that's not how it works.
Okay,
That's not how deals are done.
Okay.
Right, that's not how business and corruption works.
Okay.
Thanks, and I hope to God you say your prayers at night.
Wow, okay. Okay. Wow. On that happy note, I'm going to move on to item F3, emergency management resolution with Wayne County and Township Support Emergency Operations Plan. Chief Conley, you want to come up and just give us a brief rundown again of why we're doing this tonight? You want to get Felrath?
Evening, Board. This basically came about when I was going through my annual review of the Emergency Operations Plan and brought it to the supervisor's attention, and we determined that the previous ordinance that established us with an emergency manager was in conflict with the county emergency management plan. So that's why we went through
Hold on, Chief. Chief, hey, folks, one meeting at a time here, folks. You can go out in the hall, that's great, but we're trying to get things done here. Okay, Chief. And speak louder. I can barely hear you.
So that's why we went through the process of repealing the previous ordinance. I believe in the last two meetings, we repealed the ordinance. So now we need we're just seeking the resolution that's on tonight to officially adopt the county's emergency operations plan as we've been
Okay.
under for the last 20 years.
So basically, as you remember at the last meeting, we repealed the old emergency management ordinance. Wayne County requests that we update our emergency management resolution with them periodically. That's what we're doing tonight. The ordinance is now gone, so from here on out, we were operating wholly under the resolution, which will be updated from time to time. And frankly, this is what we've been doing for the last several years. It's just that we've been doing it on top of the now defunct ordinance. So we've finally cleaned up our paperwork there.
Correct, it's just cleanup, basically.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions from the board?
How often have you been and will you be doing some type of dry run table exercise with Wayne County?
With Wayne County,
Since they're doing the work.
Well, we run about, I think every 5 years they do like their major exercise, and we try to do something in-house every year. And then they also do, they don't necessarily do an exercise in Plymouth Township, but they do exercises throughout the county.
When was the last one at Wayne County?
I can't tell you.
We also plan on doing a in-house.
We have an in-house
tabletop exercise. Now that we have all of the new IT equipment set up in the multi-purpose room, which is also our emergency management center, we will be doing something in there in the very near future. And we have to get trained too, as department heads, we have to get trained on emergency management procedures, and all of that now is done online.
Do you have enough generator power in that room to do what you need to do?
To my knowledge, yes. I mean, we had power during the recent failure in there.
Yeah. Okay, any other questions for the chief? You want to make a motion, John?
I move to adopt Resolution 2023-08-22-70, adopting the emergency management resolution with Wayne County and the support emergency operations plan for the Charter Township of Plymouth, Michigan.
Motion's made by gave you a promotion there, by trustee Stewart.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Monahan. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heisey.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorchevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Motion carries.
Okay, item F4 is the proposal for AMI business case analysis. Treasurer Dorchevitz and Pat Felrath, our DPW director, are here. Mr. Felrath, if you could just have a seat here right now sit up in front here, in case we need you for any other technical questions. I'm just going to hand it over to Bob.
Oh, you're going to put it on me?
Well, it's up to you guys.
No, as you know, we did an RFP, a request for proposal, for a modernization of the metering system in the township. And we received bids back, met with vendors. We've shortlisted to 2, but we need some help from, we don't do this every day, and we need some help from a consultant to help develop the business case and evaluate the bids. And so this consulting company that Patrick is familiar with, that's what they do, and they do that for a living. The original proposal, they'll do like soup to nuts, but I think the original proposal started around 100,000 or something like that, didn't it? And we've narrowed their scope down to 29 to just help us with those specific deliverables. And that's basically what this is all about. So it would come out of the water and sewer fund.
Okay, any other questions
Yes.
for Bob or Patrick?
Are they going to, have you directed them to do a discounted cash flow, and what is the weighted average cost of capital you're going to use, our debt cost?
I don't know yet. We haven't hired them.
No, well, I mean, you're going to make, okay, so who's going to do the work order or the statement of work from us?
It's in the
All right, so-
packet.
So discounted cash flow, what are you going to use for that? It's probably our bond rating. What is, if you sold the municipal bonds today, what is the interest rate we'd be paying? Because they're going to need to know that.
I don't know the answer to that. I'm not in. the
Kurt, you've
market
been
for
working
selling
on,
bonds.
with bond counsel for the fire station proposal. Have they said anything?
Not to that degree.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
we can look up on-
before we bond for anything, we have to have a credit rating, we have to have a bond rating, and that's where you get those That's where you get those numbers.
But this company cannot do a proper analysis unless they have that number, is my point.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yes,
but
I
mean-
do. It's called the discounted cash flow. That's what a
Okay.
business case is.
Okay, well.
It's a discounted cash flow.
When we hire them, you can ask them those questions.
Well,
I'm
no,
sure they'll be
well, no,
happy to ask.
you gotta give them the information and the request in the statement of work, or you wanna call it the work order, so they know what you want them to do.
So these
Patrick,
people,
you're
these
here,
people,
you know
so
what
these people,
engineering
so these
economy
people would
is.
not know what the regular rates are
No,
at any
that's
given
not-
time?
No,
That's
you're
not
confused.
let me go into the detail here. There's a number of data points that they collect from us, starting with, what page is that on? During discovery, requests for background identification, including current IT environment, asset management, GIS maintenance. We also ask for environment, current conservation programs, current water rate sheets, capital investment plans. Discovery, what information is readily available, and we'll complete it. We'll establish a timetable, being mindful of any limits on readily available data. So, I mean, that's part of the analysis, if that's, but they haven't asked for that because it's not, we haven't hired them. Doesn't make any sense. They don't do analysis before we hire them.
At any given time, you find out what bond ratings are at any given date.
Right, I don't know what they're gonna be like in.
Well, no, but you have to
Exactly.
make when you, okay.
When you make
It's called
assumptions.
engineering economy. Patrick has had, I'm sure, an engineering economy class, and you put in the interest rate to determine, you know what I'm talking about,
So
right?
we will input into our model major technology and deployment scenarios that incorporate many variables, including differential inflation rates, component and labor costs, equipment lifespan, deployment time frames. The model includes 200 to 300 discrete inputs or more, depending on complexity, to ensure the highest level of fidelity and precision possible. Our financial models are also backed by a conservative, comprehensive pricing methodology that considers the unique environment and circumstances at Plymouth Township. By leveraging our past proposals and contracts we have been involved with on behalf of our clients, we produce engineering estimates and annual budgetary outlays that are typically within the 5 to 7% of actual costs, accounting for all line items necessary to fulfill the project. As Figure 5 demonstrates, the model will calculate annual and cumulative cash flows across the project lifespan, present value, return on investment, IRR, and other financial measures of interest. Using sensitivity analysis, we can vary the inputs to arrive at best and worst case scenarios, ensuring that Plymouth is prepared for all possible outcomes. Our financial analysis are also flexible and robust enough to consider the financial impact across various business units within the township. By allocating costs and benefits across different groups, we can reveal what relative effects are for specific department or division or for overall organization. Should I continue?
No.
Or you can go read it. It's in the
No,
packet.
don't be defensive. This is.
It's in the packet.
I know, but I'm asking you what, okay. So to be prepared, we need to work on some type of what we think the current interest rate is that we would use in the discounted cash flow. So we have a good idea of where it would be in a snapshot today. And
Changes every day.
Yes.
I know.
If I may.
When you do business cases in the business world, you make the assumptions. In our case, it's easy because we already know we can find out you can call up Brzezinski and they'll be able to tell you about what bonds are selling for today for a rating of Plymouth Township. It's a very simple thing. That's all I'm asking. You don't have to be defensive about it. It's know-how.
Patrick, what were you going to
The
say?
following assumptions apply to this proposal.
I can read.
Entering a discount rate.
It's in the
Patrick,
cost
okay, we're
benefit.
losing control
You gotta
here.
talk
Patrick,
louder.
You want to answer the question or no? You can if you want.
It's up to you.
What's the question?
March, I don't know.
Okay,
No, I think trustee Kermy is speaking to the discount rate that you use in a cost benefit analysis. It's very traditional. This firm specializes in these types of assessments. I'm sure we're going to use a reasonable discount rate that reflects all municipalities in this area, municipal utilities, excuse me. They've done this throughout the country, and the discount rate likely 2%, something in that ballpark of municipal bonds. I'm sure that's what they're going to use, but speaking to Trustee Dorshevitz, the first phase of this assessment is a discovery phase, and what they're going to do is they're going to provide us a whole list of questions and issues for us to gather and to speak to them about. So I'm sure they're going to address that, because that's such a key input into a financial model. I'm not too concerned about it.
Okay.
Okay, so it is a key input, you understand that. All right.
Any other questions for either Patrick or Bob at this point?
So who's going to sign off on the work order or the statement of work for us?
It's phase one, it's the discovery phase. We've already outlined the scope of work, but we are going to focus during the first phase of the assessment.
And do they have a timing? What's their timing?
Yeah, their schedule is, there's a sort of a generic schedule. We hope to get this concluded mid-November, if the notice to proceed comes early September. So this will be a 2.5 month project is our current estimate.
Okay, any other questions for Bob or Patrick? Hearing none, I move to approve Resolution 2023-08-2271 authorizing eSource Companies, LLC, also known as eSource, to perform professional services as specified in the attached advanced metering infrastructure business case development proposal in the amount of $29,284. And I assume that will be coming out of the water budget, right, Patrick?
Yes, that's correct. It's under.
Okay, so I've made the motion, seconded by Clerk Borba. So Mr. Clerk, please
When
take
you
the
go
roll.
to, I have another question for you, Bob. What are the two estimates? What was the amounts?
I don't want to say publicly because we're in the middle of, because we haven't negotiated yet. And that
Okay,
would
so I
not
can
be
come to
fair.
whose office to look at it?
Yeah, you can come to me.
You can see what
Okay.
you can see them. I don't have a problem with that. Because
So
I
come to
trust that
Patrick's
you'll
office?
keep those confidential.
These are proposals, they're not bids, so they're not comparing apples and apples, so just be aware.
Yeah, we need to respect the proprietary nature.
Well, I've
of
asked
the
several
proposal.
times, so you're the guy. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have a live motion on the floor. Mr. Clerk, please take the roll.
Supervisor Heising.
Yes.
Clerk Borba, yes. Trustee Buckley.
Yes.
Trustee Kermy.
Yes.
Treasurer Dorshevitz.
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
Trustee Monahan.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Next up is public comment, once again, limited to 3 minutes.
Mary Ann Adams again. My line of business is emergency management, so I commend the township on taking the time to really be prepared. And Fire Chief, I just wanted to know if this building was not available to use, do we have an alternate location in our plan?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, that was good. Anybody else? All right, we're going to move on to board comments. Let's start with Trustee Monahan.
I don't know if any of you know, but I wanted to take a moment to bring to your attention the untimely passing of a terrific businessman, a longtime friend of our family. I know Mr. Kerma here as well. John Lanier passed away last week from injuries sustained in a car accident in Texas and will be remembered this weekend at Schrader Howell Funeral Home. He was very active in our community, supporting various charities and growing his business, La Casa of Plymouth. I know that you will join me in expressing the board's sincere condolences for his family. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Trustee Stewart. I can come back to you if you want.
Yeah.
Okay, Trustee Buckley.
Is my mic on?
Yeah, just press the button.
Yeah, just very grateful and thankful to be chairing the Veterans Commission. I'm excited to get started, get our first meeting going. If there are any veterans in the community that would like to attend, you'll be notified, or you can look at the website on the homepage to see that. And then if you have anything that you'd like for me to address with the Veterans Commission, please feel free to email me as well.
Okay, Treasurer Dorshevitz.
Yeah, I want to talk for a minute about this notion. This question comes up a lot. It's unfortunate so many people left, but maybe they'll catch this, about this notion about being able to take a vote on an issue. Township government in the state of Michigan is it's a government of enumerated powers, meaning that the township can only do what state law allows you to do. You can't, anything that a township is going to do, a charter township is going to do, you have to be able to point to a section of state law that says you can do this. And there's kind of two types of laws. There are shalls and there are mays. And so the law will say a township may establish a police department, as an example, which means you have the authority to do that, but you don't have to do that. But a shall is one where the township says, the township shall collect the taxes, meaning that you have no discretion in that. As far as my research has been able to determine, there is no provision under state law that would permit a referendum on an issue such as whether a PUD for a racetrack could be approved. And I've found nothing under state law that that supports that. So that's the thing. A lot of people ask about that. Why can't we take a vote on it? And the reason is because there is no state law that would permit that to occur. So I just wanted to share that, and hopefully you'll share that with others.
Okay.
When they ask me where should I tell them to look?
You can't prove a negative.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Okay. He'll email.
Okay.
Because I get asked that all the time. Also.
I know.
I can't.
But it does. There's not a law that says you.
Say where it says.
There's not a law that says you can't do it. There has to be a law that says you can do it, and I can't prove a negative. I can't prove that something doesn't exist. Yeah, exactly.
So I do have a question, and since I've only been on the board for a year, so I've not, and then since we've had more contentious comments that have come through in the last 6 months, when people are up and they're making their comments, and I know the last lady in particular, they'll come up with questions, and I'm noticing as well that no one's answering. Is it such that we're supposed to answer at the end? Because it is quite silent. It's like mic drop, no one's answering. And so I'm not sure, whether to address. I know several ladies here had like 3 questions.
Sure.
And it wasn't.
So, I mean, I'm gonna do my best to answer that question, and Kevin Bennett, our attorney, can jump in if he wants. But we operate under the Open Meetings Act rules, and also we operate under rules that we voted on at the beginning of this term. Okay, rules of conduct and meeting rules, minutes, meeting minutes, rules, etc. For the board. So we have some local rules, and then we have the requirements of the Open Meetings Act. It has always been my understanding of the Open Meetings Act, and I don't know, pull rank on John Stewart, but I've been a lawyer now for over 30 years, not as long as him. But the Open Meetings Act does not require us to respond at all. We can sit here and be respectful, but we are under no obligation to answer.
Well, is it because we're taking up their time? If we're to get into a discussion,
it gets into.
I just want to give them the response to the questions that they have, and where can they get the answers? Because I feel like they're leaving, and they're just making assumptions now because no one responded. When like Bob just now explained that, but someone had asked that earlier.
I think
why wasn't it addressed at that moment?
Sure, I think the best thing, because otherwise it becomes. It becomes contentious. It becomes a debate. It becomes an interrogation. It becomes like a courtroom drama, where we're on the stand and we're trying to answer questions. And I think that's not what the Open Meetings Act does not provide for question period like you would have in a parliamentary system in England or in Canada. It is public comment is just that. It's just the opportunity for the public to say what's on their mind. If they want to ask a question, unless it is really easy or really egregious, I mean, I think that's sort of our rule of thumb here. We run a much more open and we have a lot more dialogue than when you see in other communities. If you look at Northville City, if you look at Plymouth City, I mean, they will just
look at a school board meeting.
They will,
And I'm just gonna point to something in particular, but 2 or 3 times someone said this should go to vote. Why didn't at that time someone just simply say, well, it doesn't
Well,
work that way? Just so that can be
because we,
squelched and.
well, because we'd probably still be having that debate right now, you know, why, I'm
Well,
I'm being
it's not a
facetious,
debate,
but,
it's just a statement.
yeah, but it
It's a
ends
statement
up,
of fact.
it ends up that way. I mean, so.
Well,
My recommendation is that
Kind
people
of
send,
go to bat
Send us
to
an
those
email.
that question.
send us an email. I
We
mean,
can- We can articulate.
Yeah.
I said this at the last meeting, and I had a long speech at the last meeting. Send us an email. We all respond to emails if we choose to. And my emails are not ghost-written. I don't have anybody writing them for me, and, you know, I'm not operating off a teleprompter or anything like that. So if you get an email from me, I wrote it. Now, if your neighbor wrote the same question, he's probably gonna get the same email too. I mean, I can't make them all, like, hundreds of them different. But, you know, we do answer the emails, and that gives us a chance to sometimes do the research that's necessary to answer a question. Now, if somebody's gonna come forward and say, you know, accuse us of high crimes and misdemeanors, you know, I'm not gonna respond to that. But if you have a question about, you know, how the brownfield law in Michigan works with respect to gaming facilities, that's a very interesting question, frankly, and I don't know the answer to that, but we can research that. So that's what we try to do.
Yeah, and I actually, just to add to that, I kind of prefer it. I'll answer anybody unless they accuse me of corruption or they use a fake name or insult my family. But I'll answer all your questions. But sometimes I'm more of a deliberative thinker. So I like to, if I get asked a complex question, I like to do my research and think about it a little bit. I'm just not that's just how I think. So I really prefer, you know, kind of the written questions. And I assume that when I answer an email that somebody's, you know, going to forward it on, and I don't mind. I'll give you the same answer I give somebody else. I don't give different answers depending on the person.
And sometimes there are things before us that we can't speak of. Like if all of a sudden someone's suing us, we can't just sit up here and start talking about stuff because that becomes public record that someone may use against the township, which impacts you. So sometimes we have to be very careful of how we answer stuff. And so it's not that we're trying to be not transparent or not open on anything. You have to be careful sometimes. And we've been elected to be the representative of the public. And to Bob's statement, that's what we were elected to make these decisions in an open forum as we have. And so that's why we don't go to the type of referendums that people talk about, is because we're a republic kind of body.
So Jen, your question is perfectly logical. I personally, if they're relatively easy questions, I'd like to get the stuff settled here right now. I prefer verbal engagement because sometimes people go away and they have a different, and then they won't, some people aren't good at writing an email. So, but the public relations people and the trainers of boards always discourage any engagement because they're worried it's going to board members that maybe can't handle it, go and explode into a big hassle if it's complex. But I think it's a judgment call. I don't mind interacting with, I'm not afraid of questions if I have the right answer.
But when people say, gee, you know, are you getting money for this? And
Well, no,
and who are you getting paid off by?
I'm talking about simple
I mean,
things.
that's you know.
Simple things that have a
You're never
factual answer.
You're never gonna get a good response on that.
Plus, hand grenades aren't fair, and you throw them sometimes, Chuck. You ask
No,
me
that's
what-
not intended to be a hand grenade.
You
It's
throw them all the time.
No, that's your interpretation.
right.
Because maybe it's a lack of, in the case of the discount rate, maybe you didn't know about it, but that isn't a hand grenade.
But, I mean, somebody asked me, what's the assessed value of a parcel of property? It's like, I don't know.
I mean,
I'll
they're
go
not-
look it up.
That's
don't
what I
know
just
off the
said,
top of my
easy
head.
things that are simple.
You know,
I'm not afraid of you, so you can ask me questions. If
No,
I
don't
can
think
answer it, I
anybody-
will.
I don't think anybody is, so. Okay, Jennifer, anything else?
Yeah, just the point of all that is, I just think for the public and for this highly contentious topic, it would behoove some of us on the board who have more knowledge than others to just go ahead and make a simple response to the people, because I feel like they're leaving thinking the same way they came in. If we have the opportunity to change their mind or to set them correct on a certain part of this contentious topic, it's our duty to do that. Maybe we could just calm down a little bit.
But a lot of times when you go like, well, gee, why is Northville Downs leaving Northville? Well, because the property got sold.
Why
And their
do
lease
you
is
say
over.
that, right?
Their
Every
lease
time.
expired.
Their lease expired.
I mean,
you know?
this notion that the government controls property is amazing. I mean,
But I think those educational moments need to be had.
I mean,
And
I could sit up here and
Because
say,
now they're all gone.
I could sit
so
up
they
here and
don't know
say
these
all day long to any of the questions out there and say, do you realize that the property values in Northville Township and Northville City are higher than in Plymouth City and Plymouth Township? Even though the racetrack is there? Does everybody know that the number of court cases that go to a 35th District Court are lower in the city of Northville and Northville Township than in the city of Plymouth and Plymouth Township? And the racetrack's there, not here. So the crime rate's not higher there. Property values are higher there. The school district there. Northville school districts there's 3 schools that are within 1 mile of the racetrack. None of the kids are being trafficked by people going to the thing. The Northville School District has a higher rating than Plymouth Canton School District. Historically, they outperform all times. So where that is located has no bearing on any of those things, even though people say, oh, all these bad things are going to happen. Well, the facts are just different. That's not saying how we're going to vote. The facts are just different than that. And if you go to downtown Plymouth on any Friday night, there's more traffic, there's more drinking, there's more gambling in downtown Plymouth on a Friday night than there is at the racetrack. Every Friday night in downtown Plymouth during the summer. And so if I get up here and start talking and arguing with people about that, they'll say, oh, well, you're in favor of this or you're wrong. No, those are the facts. And there's more gambling going on in downtown Plymouth on a Friday night with the lottery, with everything else, than there is at the racetrack. It's just a fact. But if we get up here and start arguing with people on that, they think that you're crazy. Those are the facts. That's why we don't do that.
okay. Anything else, Trustee Buckley?
I don't think you're entirely wrong. I don't totally disagree with what you said. It has merit. Sometimes people don't want to, it doesn't matter how you answer the question. They're not going to accept the answer because they're already determined on it. But you're not totally wrong on that.
Okay.
That was kind of not much of a compliment. I didn't really.
All righty.
But I tell my wife she's not totally wrong. She doesn't really.
Okay. John Stewart, you've had plenty of time now to gather your thoughts.
I'd like to go to a more, in my mind, a very relevant subject. I've been texting with the chief of police. A week from Thursday, August 31st, is National Drug Abuse and Addiction Awareness Day. A week from this Friday night, now I come from a public school and athletic background, thousands of people are going to be at high school football games this Friday night and next Friday night for the first time. The chief has made us aware of fentanyl, of opioid overdose, of drug use. I feel for Officer Smitherman, the liaison for and maybe he'll need a backup with all the thousands of people over at the high school for a football game and with school starting. So I just want, and I know the state police, which I get messages from them, are going to ramp up strict enforcement of alcohol abuse over Labor Day weekend. So, Chief, thank you, and I feel for you, and I support you.
Okay. Trustee Monahan, did we got you already?
Yes,
Trustee Kermy. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
That's fine.
when, Bob, can we talk about the tax collection fee deletion idea? The 1%?
When the budget is ready, because as the budget is right now, there's work that has to be done on it.
Yeah.
So-
The budget will be handed out
By state law.
September 1.
By state law, you are to receive a draft by September 1st. I've gone over the current draft that's been prepared by Carol Roshan, myself, and the department heads. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with her for a couple hours to go over it, and then you'll get the draft. And then our game plan is for September 12th, we will have our first budget meeting. It's our regular board meeting, but we'll be talking about the public safety budget. And then on September 26th, we'll have the general fund budget. So maybe that might be a good night to have that discussion. But again, the budget is not going to be approved as of now until November 14th. So we have a lot of work to do between now and then.
I mean, that has to be part of a budget discussion. You're talking about blowing a hole in that
$820,000 in reduced revenue, partially offset, or maybe all offset by interest. So that's what we need to talk about that.
We'll talk about all of it.
You'll see.
We'll talk about all of that.
Well, we just did a
We'll talk
budget
about
amendment
all
for
of that.
$400,000 for this year.
You're blowing an $800,000 hole in the budget. You're talking about laying off cops at that point.
No, we're not gonna lay off cops because we have, let's not start the emotion, let's use the numbers. Okay.
That's what we're saying.
All right.
The numbers are not ready yet. We're happy to have that discussion. I think everybody is, but we need to get the numbers together to where they make sense so that we can all look at them logically.
Yep, okay. Anything else, Chuck?
No.
Okay. Mr. Clerk, are we done with you?
No, I gotta say something.
Oh.
Thank everybody for coming out tonight and expressing your opinions. We do really appreciate that, and we do take everything you say seriously, and we take it all in consideration. We are going to be having coming to you in the next, is that who's?
Somebody.
We got someone to, hello, Mom?
Been there, done that.
But what day did Lanier pass away?
Just take the battery out.
You want me to step on it? Okay. Just to let everybody know, to please be paying attention to communications that are gonna be coming to you either through e-news or the written newsletter or letters from, especially from my department, because there's a lot of changes that have happened in the electoral process. We're going to have a lot of information coming to you to inform you about how to vote early, where you go to vote early, and then on election day, you'll be voting at a different place. So you will be receiving notices from us, and it's gonna cost a lot of money for me to send these notices out to you, but everybody, 60% of the people, 2/3 of the people in Michigan voted for this, so you're gonna have to pay for it. You're gonna be receiving information from me about where and how to vote. Please pay attention to those notices. Don't just look at something and throw it away. So make sure you read, make sure you tell your neighbors and friends and other relatives that to pay attention to the information coming to you from the township about voting. It's very important, and it will tell you where to vote, when you can vote, how to vote, not how to vote, how the process works. So please pay attention to that and tell everybody that. And I'll be reminding everybody at every meeting to please pay attention to those notices because we have to send those notices to you. So
What is the date of the next election?
Allegedly,
We don't know.
allegedly, it's going to be, tentatively, is going to be at the end of February for the presidential primary. Now, the legislature,
Last Tuesday in February?
the 27th of.
24th.
24th? I thought it was the 27th. At the end of February, and this was changed by the legislature to move the primary up from March. We used to vote in March for the presidential primary. However, this is only for the Democrat Party because the National Republican Party has not authorized a change in the date. They may be going to a caucus or something. So there's going to be information to you saying that that will likely be the presidential primary, but only for the Democrat Party. And that's only if the legislature resigns early enough to give that 90-day effectiveness to that date. If they resign when they usually do, or go sine die, which would be the last day, it will be in March. So we don't know for sure that that's going to be the day unless the legislature shuts down, because it wasn't given immediate effect. Again, this is all technical, legislative mumbo jumbo, but all I'm asking you to do is to pay attention to notices that come to you, because there's going to be information that's important for you to exercise your fundamental right to vote. So please pay attention, tell your neighbors and friends, don't throw away notices that looks like garbage coming from the clerk's department, because it's not.
That isn't garbage.
That isn't garbage.
Yeah.
Other stuff is,
Yeah.
but not that.
All right, very good. So we have, our next meeting is September 12th. As I said, we'll have the presentations for public safety budgets, police, fire, and dispatch. Jeremy, our engineer, we haven't forgotten about you. We have a resolution regarding the grant that we received to build the sidewalks along Ann Arbor Road underneath the CSX Railroad overpass. So that will be before us. Chief Conley and I are going to be interviewing a fire station consultant later this week, and we'll see if we're interested in hiring that particular person. A couple other issues of note with respect to the Salem Springs Showstack sewer. Salem Township has pretty much lost everything in Washtenaw County, in the Washtenaw County case. The only remaining issue that the judge is going to consider is whether or not Superior Township acted lawfully when they denied the permit for the Showstack sewer line to go through Superior Township. I would hope that Superior Township will prevail, because if a township or a city doesn't have the right to determine if sewers are going to go through their community, then we're all in trouble. So that matter is good news for Superior Township. It may be bad news for us. So I'm not trying to scare anybody, but I think we have to be extra vigilant on what is the next move that Showstack is going to make. Is he going to try to tap into the Watua system again, like he tried to do in 2015? I know his lobbyist has already been talking to Watua in the past about that within the last couple of years. Also, are they going to try to push the sewer plant that is tentatively slated for M14 and Napier? So we still have to be extra vigilant. I've notified our legislative delegation. I don't know what happened to Senator Baer tonight, but we'll certainly extend again our invitation to her. And then September 20th, just real quick, we will be doing the general fund budget, which I think will be Jerry Vorva night, because Jerry has got a lot of issues that we have to deal with the new changes to the election law, and all of that comes at a very, very stiff price. So we're going to have to talk about that. I know I mentioned this earlier tonight, and I am going to reiterate it, and I'm not doing this to hurt anybody's feelings, but we have a First Amendment right under the Constitution to petition government for a redress of grievances, okay? And that is enshrined in the federal Constitution. When people sign petitions, I believe it is the intent of the person signing the petition that at some point, their name, address, whatever they gave to the petition gatherer is at some point going to be presented to the government. Now, I've heard people tonight say that they didn't know about the horse track until January or February. Yeah, because that's when it first appeared before the Planning Commission, properly noticed. And I was at that first meeting. This place was standing room only, so a lot of people certainly got the word on that. So it's been, it's been about 6 months now, and I don't think the petition gathering process began probably until, I want to say, around Memorial Day. But we're at a point now where this project is being, this petition effort is now being weaponized for political purposes. All I have to do is go on Facebook, and I see individuals who are asking people to run for office, asking people to take on this board and overthrow the board and everything. And again, you have a First Amendment right to do that. But they're using the petition to bolster their argument. And I've seen maps of the township with dots all over it, and, beware, township board, we're coming for you, here's the level of opposition. I've heard there's 500 or 600 signatures on this petition. At some point, folks, we need to see it, because if we don't, then it's going to look like somebody is creating a political database for the 2024 elections. And I don't think when people signed this petition, they thought that they were going to be used as on a political database. We have a lot of people who signed this petition. If that is the case, we had Republicans, we had Democrats, we had PETA supporters, we have environmentalists, we have liberals, conservatives, you name it. At some point, I think they have to make sure that their voice is heard so that we can get the petition. We want to see the petition. It's time, okay? Because if we don't see it, then I'm going to start assuming that people people signed this petition in error, and that maybe they were lied to, and maybe this was some kind of a fraud, that their names are now being used for a purpose that they did not intend. I hope I'm wrong. So it's time to get the petitions. With that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
Wait a minute, we need to talk about the special session.
We're having a closed session next Tuesday at 6 o'clock
Okay, just want to make sure that.
to discuss the Myers lawsuit. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Treasurer Dorchevitz, supported by Clerk Vorva. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.